All right, Wilbur Shaw.
Wilbur Shaw, I think if you were to make up a list of the most important people in the entire history of the track, not just drivers, but just people in general, I think Wilbur Shaw has to be one of the three or four most important people ever. Even if he had never done anything other than drive race cars, because he's the man who saved the track. But just to go back and review the career, he was Indiana born. He was born in Shelbyville and spent most of his early days back and forth between Shelbyville and Greensburg. But from the time he was a young adult, he lived in Indianapolis for most of the time. Anyway, he won his first 500 in 1937. He'd been second in 33 and second in 35. And then in 36, he looked like he was going to be the winner and led for a good chunk of the race with a car that he helped build with a streamlined body. And then he had to make a couple of lengthy stops because the bodywork was shaking loose. And so they got that fixed, and he was quite some distance behind, but he managed to get back and salvage seventh. And then the following year, with that same car, then he won the race. Then he was second in 1938, and then in 1939, with a Maserati owned by Mike Boyle, he won the race in 39 and then won it again in 1940 to become not only the second three-time winner, but the first person to win it 2 years in a row. And then the next year, he wasn't too far off of winning it for a fourth time and become the first person to win 3 years in a row, which still hasn't been done. He blew a tire, or at least a wheel collapsed, I should say. Right rear wheel collapsed on the 152nd lap while he was leading. And he hit the wall, and the car was damaged, and he was out. Well, then that was the last race before the war, and when they came back after the war, a lot had happened. He'd gone to Firestone and worked with their aircraft division, and then when the war was nearing its end, Firestone had an opportunity to come down, or they thought that they should come down and test a new synthetic rubber tire they'd been working on, and when he got to the track to do the test, he was just, the place was in deplorable condition. And so he went to New York, met with Eddie Rickenbacker, the owner, found out that the track would be for sale, and after digging around to try and find an owner, he found Tony Holman, and then Tony Holman purchased the track, and Wilbur Shaw became the president and general manager. And so he's the man that you really have to thank for saving it, because Tony Holman certainly was the one that purchased it, and it couldn't have been done without him. But if Wilbur Shaw hadn't gone on this campaign, Tony Holman probably would never have known about it. So here was this iconic guy from Indiana, very dynamic, I mean, a great personality, won the 500 3 times and was second 3 times, and then effectively saved the track.